Hello.
Hello, everybody. So,
Denise, will you host?
Oh, yeah. Hello, everyone. This is the interview with Andrew Baker, Emily Christians, and Robert Chandler for The Amazing Maurice, the producers of The Amazing Maurice. We received all your questions, and we are really happy to answer them. I will go through the questions with everyone and just, see what comes out of it. Emily will say some things in German.
Hallo, guten Tag. Mein Name ist Emily Christians und ich bin die Produzentin des Films zusammen mit Andrew und Robert aus UK. Und ja, wir haben das Projekt aus Deutschland heraus initiiert, was vielleicht eine ungewöhnliche Sache ist, aber wir fanden die Buchrechte so toll, dass wir Narrativia angesprochen haben und das tatsächlich bekommen haben. Dann haben wir uns UK-Partner gesucht, weil wir auf Englisch produzieren und weil wir denken, das gehört auch nach UK und haben diese tolle Produktion gestartet. Ich bin von Ulysses Filmproduktion und wir switchen jetzt auf Englisch, damit wir das ganze Gespräch dann gemeinsam gestalten können. Und ja, by this, maybe Andrew and Robert, you can also introduce yourself with a few words.
Yes, indeed. So I'll go first. So hello, everyone. It's really nice to be in front of a screen and hopefully you can all understand us very well. So my name is Andrew Baker and I am one of the producers on The Amazing Maurice, and I run Cantilever Media, which is the UK company that manage the UK side of the production.
And I'm Robert Chandler, as an independent producer working in animation and live action films. And I was brought onto the project by Andrew to work alongside him at Cantilever Media. And then we both worked alongside Emily and Denise through this production.
Yes, mustn't forget Denise as well.
Yes.
Denise is also
Real member.
Denise held it together.
Yeah, hello. I'm the production coordinator of the project, and I will coordinate us through this now. So shall we start with the first question?
Yes.
It's rather 3 questions or 4 questions in one. Did you have free reign when it came to deviating from the book, or did the Pratchett estate have the rubber stamp, have to rubber stamp everything, or was that all done the moment the script got accepted, like we just saw in the making of video, because they saw the making of before this?
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, maybe just go for this question first and then I continue.
Yeah, it was the latter. So I think we had really free to go with the script first. It was written by Terry Rossio, a very well-known writer from the US, and he made the right choices. I think this is the key to the success, because he made the right choices about how to put this novel into a screenplay, which is not easy, and where there need to be decisions need to be done and taken. And I think he had the right recipe for this, how to do it and how to combine the characters, which ones to keep and which ones sadly to leave out, because a novel is just longer than a film, so there decisions needed to be taken. But Narrativia was we were very free, and Narrativia was very happy in the end.
Yeah. Sorry, Andrew, go for it.
No, I was just going to say that the choice of Terry as a writer was really important. And when Robert and I came on board, Emily was already working with Terry, but Terry is not only an amazing writer in his own right, because he wrote Shrek and Aladdin and Pirates of the Caribbean and films like that, but he actually knew Terry Pratchett personally and had worked with him on other projects. And so he understood the way that Terry wrote, he understood the characters and the world, and Narrativia knew him very well. So he was very much a trusted writer. And so that freedom was also, I guess, with the knowledge that the writer involved was going to be very true to the book anyway, and was going to be someone who's going to be very respectful of the subject matter, and was going to try and create, as Emily said, that new thing, which is a film, not the book, which always has to be different. And certainly for me, when I read that, that was why I said yes to the project, apart from it being Terry Pratchett, was that amazing script. And it just captured the characters in the world. And I think when you get that right, it means that everything else after that is much easier for Narrativia to say yes to, because they're starting from a great position already.
Yeah, they knew that the spirit was there in the screenplay, didn't they? And you do have to be ruthless when you're adapting a novel. You know, cutting out the character of Ankh-Morpork, for example. No one wants to do that. We love Ankh-Morpork, and he still exists in the book. But for the film, you can't have too many characters, otherwise it wouldn't work. And so we had to be, well, Terry was fairly ruthless. We supported that. We also made our own sort of adaptations. We like to visualize things and not just have characters talking too much. It's a movie after all, and you know, and anyone who knows the book will know that we've slightly modified the ending, but we think it works well as a film without ever detracting from the novel, which is its own thing. And I hope that we got it right. I think we did. I'm pretty sure.
I think we did.
Yeah.
So there was much, or was there much interaction with Narrativia during the process of the making of the film?
Very much so. I mean,
yeah.
we were, all three of us had met them, Emily, of course, early on, and then Andrew and I came on board. We knew we had to make sure that they trusted us, and we had to trust them as well, and their judgment. And we've quite quickly earned that trust simply by sharing. And telling them what we were planning to do and showing them, and so they were involved, and there was never any real conflict, was there, Andrew and Emily?
No, there really wasn't. I think what was really nice was that they hadn't really done animation before, so for them there was I guess an excitement to understand how the process worked, and because unlike live action, where you see the script and then you have to wait for it actually to be made to see something, we were able to show things at so many different stages, from concept art to storyboard to the animatic to different layers. They really just saw it unfold before them, and so I think they were very kind of excited to see how that worked, and they were very open to the fact that we wanted to create this in our own way. So it did work incredibly well.
Yeah, it would have been silly by us not to use their experts' view, because they, of course, are the experts.
Very much so.
Yeah, so.
And during the making of the film, there were changes made to the script, I think constantly, right?
Yeah, there always is with animation, because the screenplay is the starting point. You always storyboard everything, and you're also, while you're storyboarding, you're visualizing again, you're making sure it works visually, and so the storyboarding is almost like another part of the writing process. You're faithful to the screenplay, but at the same time you're making a movie. You make all your big decisions at the storyboard stage, and that's why it's really important to have the right storyboard artists, have directors who can all on the same team. Being part of the same team is a really important thing.
Yeah.
Choosing your team is very important to make sure that they also have that spirit of the book in mind, and we're all making the same film. It's quite easy to put a team together and discover that you're not. On this one we were, and we were quite united, and so yes, storyboarding is the short answer to that question.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing is that after we've storyboarded, we did the voice records, and because we had such amazing cast, there were a number of changes we made to the script just because the cast came up with things in the studio, or they were just too funny to miss. And so the Pied Piper, obviously some of those bits were unscripted, but also we actually, if you remember, we added a line for Hugh Bonneville, where he comes up the stairs to Melissa and says, are you coming for dinner? And it was really just because we loved him so much, and we thought we have him in the studio, let's find some more lines for him quickly. And I think it's a great way of kind of adjusting the material just to fit the talent that you have in the room. But yes, we did obviously have to get to a point where we locked it though, and we said no more, we have to now make the film.
Yeah, and before choosing the storyboard artist, we chose the director. So I think that's also an important point, because he made some decisions also.
Hugely, yes.
Made good and big decisions. So I think this team came up, it was, from the beginning, this all worked hand in hand. So,
yeah. And whose idea was it to base Death and the Death of Rats on the art of Paul Kidby?
Well, that was Heiko to start with. I mean, Heiko, who's our art director, is actually a Terry Pratchett fan anyway. And so because there are only a few of the characters in the film that actually have been drawn previously, and Death and Death of Rats were such important characters, he was already basing them on Paul Kidby's designs. But what we then did is we actually made the decision to specifically speak to Paul Kidby and actually ask his permission, and actually bring him on board, so that instead of being inspired by his designs, we could actually use them. And so we were able to include those, and I was really pleased that we could, because it also meant that I guess we had another Pratchett fan in the room, but someone who'd actually worked with Terry to create those character designs. And he did explain the numerous revisions and evolution to get to the point where he had that final Death design. And so it felt like it was a wonderful opportunity to use that. And we were really pleased that he allowed us to do so.
Yep. And how did you decide on the character designs, especially the very clean looking Maurice? I guess it's a reference because in the book I remember he's more like beat up and dirty, street cat. So
well, if I can jump in there,
you can see him here behind me.
Yes,
smiling.
He is grinning about that question, of course, and obviously if you go online, it's the question that or the thing that most frequently gets raised about the film, and have we made him too clean? And possibly we have, but we wanted to make sure there was a contrast between that character and the character who gets beaten up and then goes on to sacrifice a very important part of himself, and that journey, really, so that when he does make that decision to confront and make a bargain with death, he's been through the wars, literally fighting the Rat King, pushing back against that supernatural force. That's what sort of beats him up. So I kind of like to think that Maurice ends up the street cat. If it started that way, he might have just felt a bit too grubby as we go along. And I personally quite like the idea of this sort of immaculate cat sort of walking through the world untouched and unsullied by all the sort of grime around him.
Absolutely.
So the whole character design process was of course we had Heiko
and Carter
Goodrich, but it was just a joint decision from everyone.
Yes,
right?
it was.
And then the artists who build the characters, they always modify them as well. We have to build, rig, put the textures on, lighting tests, all that sort of stuff, place them in the environment, see what works, make sure he stands out. We call it popping, when a character pops against the backgrounds, all that sort of stuff. It needs to be taken into consideration, which is probably why he's grinning behind Emily right now.
And we spent a lot of time on his fur, just getting it look perfect.
Yeah, millions of hair.
Yes, and a tail big enough to carry a money bag, of course.
That's right.
And who came up with the names of characters that did not have names in the book? For example, the rat catchers.
I believe that would have been Terry Rossio.
I think it was Terry Rossio, yes, because already in the first version of the script they were Billy and Ron and Billy.
I also can't remember.
They had no other names.
No, that's right. And obviously Terry had given us a lot of character names anyway with all the other rats, and so it was quite nice raiding that to get Selby and all the other rats that accompany them on their journey. We love them so much, we kind of want to explore their adventures as well.
What made you decide to do a film based on this book in particular?
It's over to you, Emily.
It's a standalone Terry Pratchett book. It's from Discworld, but still it's a story in itself. So this was, kind of a good possibility to make a book. And then I read it, and I really have to admit, and you all in the room there might be interested. I never heard of Terry Pratchett before, and then I came across this book, and I thought that's a really with this social commentary, and this is really a book that I want to make, or that we want to make. And then, yeah, so it's a perfect book because it's based on something, but still so unique. And yeah, it was just when I read it that I thought that it needs to be seen by everybody.
Yeah.
Would you like to turn another Pratchett novel into a movie? If so, which one and why?
All of them. So we are very biased in that we think animation is the best medium for Terry Pratchett. There have been some live action adaptations in the UK on Sky in particular, and they were great. But there's so much more you can do with animation, and I have to say, whether it's us or somebody else making them, animation, I think, is the best way to really realize Terry's vision. And so I think all of them should be made as animated movies, quite frankly. But as to which one, well, Emily and I share a favorite, which is the Bromeliad. So Truckers, Diggers and Wings, that they're amazing stories. But also just in terms of Discworld, I mean, any of them, all of them. I'm a big Terry Pratchett fan, so I'm very happy to say if I had the opportunity, I would make any of them. We would make it work.
Good. This is interesting. Would you do a sequel if given the permission, like they are doing Good Omens 2 at the moment?
Yes, we would.
We absolutely would. Yes, yes. So we have to wait and see.
Yeah, and we got to know these characters so well now over all these years, so we would really like to meet them all again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you know, oh, Emily just answered this, did you know Discworld or Terry Pratchett before this project, or did most of the crew?
Well, I'm sort of in the middle here because Andrew knows everything about it, and Emily hadn't heard of Terry Pratchett, and I had. But hadn't read any, and I knew of his reputation. And I'm you know, if you can see, I'm a bit of a nerd myself, so I sort of respected the man greatly for what he had achieved. And I knew his and I still do know his daughter socially. But I hadn't read any, you know, and so being asked to read that Maurice was a joy, and I could see suddenly it all made sense as to why there was such a reputation, because as Emily said, there's a sort of social commentary, the way it's sort of hidden in there. But what's important for me was the heart of it. Here's someone who clearly cared about humanity, and was able to turn that into an ability to write fantasy novels while sort of simultaneously parodying fantasy, but also still enjoying it and loving it. So it was quite an achievement when I read it. Yeah.
When it comes to the team, the directors on your level, Robert, he knew Terry Pratchett but hadn't read a lot. And Heiko Henschel, our character designer and production designer, he had read it all. So he also, all these Easter eggs that we have in there, I think this is where we need to thank Heiko for his ideas. Yeah, and I think the tiny bits.
And also in the UK, when we were for an animation, you have to recruit a lot of animators. That's the bulk of the team. And so when Red Star Studios in Sheffield was advertising and trying to encourage people to apply for these jobs, it was a time when animators were hugely in demand. And it was lockdown, and so animators were really the people that were working because live action filming was suspended. And actually the response they had was phenomenal, and that was partly because it was Terry Pratchett. And so honestly, yes, there are a lot of Terry Pratchett fans among the animators in particular. I know Jerome was a big fan anyway, but
Jan was a huge fan.
Yeah, and Jan was a huge fan. So there's a lot of people who worked on the film who were fans to begin with, and I think anyone who hadn't really understood the books or knew Terry Pratchett, certainly by working on this film, they are now absolute raving fans, and they've you know, we've all become so passionately involved with these characters that for us it's very special now.
One of our production managers also, Carrie, she is a big fan and she knew it all. So she had the right questions sometimes to us, which was very helpful to take another look at it.
Emily mentioned the Easter eggs. Who provided the inputs for all the Easter eggs, and is there a list of all Easter eggs?
So most of them were from Heiko. I added a few in as well, and I guess one of the things that's interesting is that we did speak to Narrativia about some of these in particular, because some of the Easter eggs are references to other books and other characters. And if you're Pratchett fans, you'll know all this already. You'll have seen them all. They're not hidden, really. And so we wanted to make sure we had permission to do so, because they're not strictly speaking within our book. And where are they all? Well, I just happen to have
Andrew,
the Amazing Maurice. And so in this amazing book, which is available online, you will see all of the artwork and everything, but it does also include little bits of information listing the Easter eggs. So if you really want to know, you have to buy the book, but it is worth it.
Andrew was clearly our Easter egg fact checker.
Yeah.
Heiko would suggest something and we'd look to Andrew and he'd say, oh yeah, that's right. Okay, that's great. I have to say my favorite Easter egg isn't from a book. It's the statue of Terry in the mayor's office, and that we took the sculpture that had been made by, was it Paul Kidby?
Paul did that one.
Sculpted it. And at first we looked at designing that like the rest of the film, so it was slightly different, not as human as it was, so it was more in keeping with the rest of the design. But after a while we just thought, no, we want it to look exactly like Terry. So we took the CAD drawings of that sculpture and literally placed it in the film as a very accurate replica and model of Terry. And there he is, Maurice is sitting on his head in the confrontation with them. So that's my favorite Easter egg.
My favorite is the fountain on the marketplace. I've never seen something like this before.
Well, I actually don't think it has been seen ever before. When Heiko drew that, Paul Kidby, as far as I'm aware, has never drawn it, and because Paul does all of the artwork and things, that means it hasn't existed before.
Yeah.
So for those of you who didn't spot it, it's the Dragon of Unhappiness. So you'll have to kind of look at the film again now and just see it in all its color.
Are there references to Tim Burton movies, or did the person sending the question just imagine all of them?
There aren't, I have to say.
No, I think that obviously,
yeah.
I mean, stylistically, I guess there are some bits where you could say it might be reminiscent of Tim Burton, but it's no. We did have some Star Wars references in there, and a little Alien reference, but no, not Tim Burton, I'm afraid.
We loved him. I have to say, we loved Tim Burton, but he's so influential in his designs that we just wanted to make it clear that it wasn't Tim Burton, it's Terry Pratchett, and here it is.
So it's all imagination.
It is. It's someone who's obviously a Tim Burton obsessive, and
absolutely instead of a Pratchett obsessive, or as well as, you know.
Why are there so many owl designs in the film? Are they supposed to be a reference to Ankh-Morpork, for example, on the mayor's chain, the mayor's office wall?
Yeah, so Ankh-Morpork has got hippos. So so on the shield for Ankh-Morpork there are 2 hippos, and so Bad Blintz has the double bat logo, and that's the kind of the emblem of the town. But the owls came from Heiko in his designs, and I guess really there's not a specific reference that we're following. It's just the fact that it's a medieval town. They would have used animal symbols as part of their heraldry, the shields, the logo for the town. And so it wasn't anything specific that we've taken it from. That was all from the genius of Heiko.
Yeah.
He just came up with that.
If given the opportunity, is there anything you would have done differently, or are there scenes that you would have liked to have been in the film that couldn't be included?
You can't ask that question. I'm the sort of person who has sleepless nights, constantly modifying stuff. So I'm not going to answer that question. I think it's a beautiful film, and it's
so I would have loved to have had some more scenes of the rats before they get to Bad Blintz. So the opening scene of the book, for example, is the coach scene where they kind of run up the trouser leg of the highwayman, and I always found that to be a really fun kind of start to the book. And so some of the adventures of the rats, when they're just, you know, conning humans and being naughty, really, for me, that would have been great if we could have fitted more of that in. But actually, the whole point of having a film is that, you know, you have to limit it to 90 minutes. You know, it's part of the format. Otherwise, we could have made this 7 hours long and, you know, and fit everything else in.
Yeah. Have you seen the red kids in the school in the last sequence? So we would have loved to have them in there as well, a bit more, but time limits. And,
they're beautiful.
And telling the story, we really wanted to tell the whole story and not just, so maybe a second one. And then we include them. No, but
maybe a spin-off with just the little rats.
The kids.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Important question: has the movie been a success?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. And I guess you have to ask, what do you mean by has it been a success?
Yeah, because most producers say yes, but
isn't a success if it was seen by many people? I think that's the success, not
absolutely.
and that's why we make this, because
it is. And so I guess from Narrativia's perspective, if I can put words into their mouth, it's a success if it keeps Terry's memory alive, that people who haven't read the book before now read the book. If people who don't know Terry Pratchett now go and say, well, let's read something that he's written. So I think that is one measure of success, which we've definitely done. And so, for example, the book itself has been republished now in a number of countries worldwide where it hadn't been out, it had lapsed. And so new editions of the book have come out just to coincide with the film, which is fantastic. That's a real obvious sign of it working. And in the UK as well, absolutely. And then have lots of people seen it? Yes, we've had a theatrical release in most countries around the world now. So it's been in cinemas. It's not just gone to television. It's actually been in a movie theatre. And so that's worked really well. And I think creatively, we've had some really good reviews. And I think from a personal perspective, it's a film that I'm immensely proud of. I think everyone who's worked on it has given it absolutely their top-notch effort, and everything from the design to the directing to the music, everything has just really been top quality. And the animation team went way above and beyond to give it the quality that it was. So yes, I would absolutely unqualified say it's a success.
Yeah, and it's a success if people feel well entertained, I think, by watching the film. And that's what we got in emails and in reviews and everywhere. This was really also focused on that. It's just a good 90 minutes, which you can enjoy.
I'm a bit of a film nerd, as I've sort of confessed, and I'm quite hard on my own work. I often can't watch it again, and I love it. And this is rare, really rare for me. I watch it. I watched it with Andrew recently when he mounted a live orchestral version of the film, and it has these qualities of beauty. What really mattered to me was an editor friend watched it, and his 3-year-old daughter found herself watching it and was absolutely captivated by it. And he said the following day she was walking across all the furniture like the Pied Piper with his weird legs. And that to me was a measure of success, that, you know, a child, or, you know, a member of the audience that takes it with them, and it becomes part of who they are, really. And I think that's lovely. Yeah, I think we're all really proud of it.
And we made it to Sundance, which was...
And Sundance.
Yes.
Indeed. And that's no small feat. That really...
And more festivals to follow.
Yeah.
So,
it's still not over.
Yeah.
No, indeed. We're still going.
Yeah.
The last question is, did you have a target audience in mind? Pratchett fans, children, families, all of them?
All of them.
All of them.
It had to be a family movie rather than a children's movie. partly because of the subject matter and the story. We wanted to not dumb it down too much for the children. But also there isn't really a market just for adults for feature films. It has to be a family movie. And so I think we all tried to strike a balance between things for the fans, things for the kids, and things that everyone could watch together.
Yeah. So not just for the fans, but
not just for the fans.
But also.
For me, ultimately, I sort of end up sort of making, I hope this doesn't sound too grand, but making the film for yourself. You know that it works for yourself, and then hope to God that it finds an audience. I'm just really pleased that we didn't really compromise on the death scene. We had death, we showed him, we showed the afterlife. We didn't compromise on the pit scene with the rat coursing and the dogs and the terror of that, or even the derangement of the Pied Piper. These are lots of things that often you get pressure to neutralize or to make safer. But I believe that children love this sort of stuff, frankly, and so we sort of kept it in and made sure that we did, you know, justice to the themes of the novel, and obviously that means, you know, staying true to the spirit of Terry Pratchett.
Yeah, and all partners trusted us in doing this in a very good way. Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, that was it. I hope we answered most or all of the questions everyone had.
Vielen Dank, dass ihr uns gefragt habt, das hier zu machen, und wir hoffen, dass das ein bisschen mehr Einsichten jetzt und Einblicke noch in die Filmproduktion gegeben hat. Und wir wünschen euch a lot of fun on your convention and enjoy your days together.
Yes, and I hope you've all seen the film lots of times in the cinema, and you go out and buy it on DVD and support the movie. And thank you for supporting it already.
And write to us if there are more questions. We're really happy to answer. And just contact us.
Love it. Love talking. Great.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you very much.
We do
Have a great day.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.